AEW was long tonight, but there was a lot that had to happen following a very good redemption on Sunday. We had multiple title matches, plus a lot of fallout with new champions and some who retained and may or may not have betrayed one of their best friends. Let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French Toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummins, flying solo dolo here tonight, to the point where I just realized I did the whole intro without my mic on. Anyway, thank you for joining me this late. We had a very, very long episode of Dynamite, which I kind of started a little late. That's my bad. So between that and writing solo tonight, it took me a minute to get set up. But we're here, and we are going to dive straight into this. We're going to start at the very top of the show, which helps set everything up, as we had a video package recapping what happened after the main event of Redemption. So we had the Death Riders come out, attack Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay then comes out for the save. He has the back and forth with the bag. Eventually, Dex Moxley and the Death Riders leave. And where we pick up is the Death Riders going backstage into their locker room where they're watching what transpires between Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. Moxley is there watching, repeatedly saying that Will needs to attack Kenny and get him before Kenny gets Will, and even going as far as to say that all will be forgiven if Ospreay does indeed go after Kenny first. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Omega surprises Ospreay with the one-winged angel, and that prompts Moxley to ask, in a fairly sarcastic manner, was that even 4 minutes? Well, he was right. And he turns to the camera, and he says that he's been trying to tell Ospreay that Omega is a shark at the top of the food chain and not his friend. He has given Will everything he can in order for him to be prepared so that he could see that coming and get Kenny before Kenny got him. Obviously, that didn't happen, but it's not over yet because Moxley believes that Ospreay is now truly the best wrestler in the world with nothing to lose because he is truly on death's ground. We then cut backstage as Will Ospreay is arriving at Dynamite, and we get there with Renee Paquette, who attempts to get a word in with Ospreay as he enters the arena. But politely, he's like, look, Renee, I know you got a job to do. I'm not really in the mood to answer any questions at the moment. Instead, he runs into the Death Riders, who are there waiting for him. And they all kind of slowly walk at each other. Moxley steps forward to Will, and there's a big stare down that gets broken up when Daniel Garcia steps up and he's like, yo, young boy Billy. Ospreay just back elbows the shit out of him into a wall and knocks him on his ass, which leaves Pac to attempting to go after Ospreay. But Moxley pulls back off and has him calm down. And Moxley goes to Ospreay. He's like, really sure you want to do that? There's another 10 stare down. Ospreay tells Mox that he doesn't get to pull the trigger for him, and he hands back his Death Riders patch, which is taken by Wheeler Yuta. Mox is like, is that so? It looks like you got it all figured out then. And Moxley kind of parts the Death Riders so that Ospreay can leave, and he tentatively does so, attempting to head into the building. However, before he can get there, Renee tries to ask another question, and she's once again, unfortunately for her, cut off by Hangman Adam Page, who gets a huge pop. And Page kind of jokingly goes, well, it's like, you know, I was going to give you hell for joining up with the Death Riders, but that doesn't really look like it's a thing anymore. And then he tells Will that he's been in his shoes before, where it seems like where the entire world is actually in front of you, and you feel like you have to go and do it alone. But that's not how half the roster let Hangman feel last year, or how Ospreay let him feel last year. And Hangman says he's not going to stick his nose into Will's business, and obviously he's not going to have anything to do with the World Championship. But if Will needs anything, he can let Hanger know. Now, Ospreay thanks him, but he says he's got a lot on his plate right now. He's got the United Empire boys mad at him. He's got the Death Riders breathing down his neck. He can't trust Kenny, and that means he can't trust Hangman. So while he appreciates all of that, he has to do it alone. Hangman replies that he knows that look in Ospreay's face, and while he's one of the best he's ever stepped in the ring with, sometimes the deciding factor is whether or not Will believes that he is one of the best wrestlers ever. Paige knows that Ospreay is going to go into Wembley, the bell is going to ring, and he's going to be the best he's ever been. So Hangman says that Will's got this. And Ospreay is just like, thank you. And then he finally walks into the building. All right, there's a lot more with that. I will just jump into the comments saying hello to You Know It. It's that SOB James bells out on the night. Kenny makes it official as a heel. To be fair to James, I did not make it on Sunday. He did a great job holding it down. I was busy. I actually was acting, so we'll see how that goes. But I got home very late. I got home literally in the middle of the main event of that pay-per-view, and it took me like 2 days to watch the whole thing because I kept falling asleep. Not because of the pay-per-view, but because of me. We also say hello to JT. What's going on, my dude? And he asked, where the show was just starting? That's a good question. Leader made a comment on commentary, which is what they do on commentary, where it seemed like they thought Hangman was leaving, but I don't know. It was a little bit weird. We also say hi to Derek. What's up, dude? Good evening to you. He says he hopes the Death Riders dog combination faces the Bang Bang Gang, Ace Austin, Juice Robinson, and the Guns tomorrow night, live on Collision. You got Claudio, Finlay, Connors, and Pac. Yeah, I don't know if that was the full announcement. I know that they are having that match at some point tomorrow. But if it is, let me know. But Collision looks very, very stacked tomorrow. We also say hello to Maria. What's going on? Thank you for joining us. And we also say hello, as I get a partner here, to Matt Cascone. What's going on, Matt? Thank you for joining us this evening.
I'm going to remove myself for 1 second and jump back in because for whatever reason, every time I jump on, the screen is black for me. I know you can see me, but like if there's a booger hanging from my nose, I want to see it, to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, so Matt will reset and he'll be right back as I go on the big screen by accident. There we go. Okay, well, Matt is fixing everything up. We say hello again to Maria, who thought this was a very exciting Dynamite, and it was. It was incredibly wrong, but they put a lot of stuff in here between great matches and great promos. As Matt joins us back in, and we head down towards what ended the show, or close to the end of the show, because I do want to throw in the Death Riders backstage promo, just briefly.
This show was long. I was ready for it to end after the trios match, and then we get to this promo you're about to talk about. I'm like, what is this? We just had 2 hours of wrestling. I don't need 2.5.
It took me about almost 3 hours to watch this show just because of pausing and having to take notes and everything. And I started like 5 minutes late. Yeah, it was shocking how long this episode was. Honestly, at that point, Tony, just either by the 3 hours would tell us it's 2.5. Like,
folks, we love wrestling. We love pro wrestling here at the Mark It Down podcast, but it's tough to watch. It's not tough to watch the show. It's tough to watch the show and then review the show right afterwards. But we do it because we love you.
Yeah, and obviously the later it gets, the more difficult it is, but yeah, it is what it is. JT asking, is Jay White out again? I don't know. He wasn't there tonight. They didn't say he was hurt, but they were playing off the fact that he, had it rough following that chain match on Sunday. But no official word as far as I'm concerned. And Derek's also saying, sad we didn't get to see Claudia tonight. I wonder what he would do in that Ospreay segment, but hopefully he'll be back tomorrow night. Very excited for Ospreay versus Garcia. As am I. Speaking of that, this Death Riders promo. So we will get into the Moxley Komander match later, but he won, and the Death Riders were all backstage. And Yuta says that another night, another victory for the Death Riders because that's what they do since it's them against the world. Now he's here in the Bang Bang Gang, is blaming them for all their problems and throwing around open challenges, something we will also discuss later. And Pac steps in to collect that it's no collective skin off their ball sacks, so they'll see the Bang Bang Gang tomorrow. Daniel Garcia chimes in saying that's what he likes about Pac, that he's always right, just like he was right about that coward Ospreay. He says that Will has been running from the grind forever. When things got hard in New Japan, he left. When things got difficult with United Empire, he left. And the moment he had any internal conflict about being with the Death Riders, he tried to leave. But that is not how it works with them because it's hard in and an even harder way out. So he'll be seeing young boy Billy real soon. Moxley then finally steps up to say that he's tired of hearing about the way they do things from the morality police. They meet people where they are, and they play by the rules that are necessary. And then he starts talking about the Continental Championship, saying that's what he loves about the sports. It's just you in there against the man across from you. And now everyone apparently is backstage, and they're abuzz with this mystery tournament, the Continental Cup. Moxley says he's been walking in as champion into the unknown, or he will be walking as champion into the unknown against God knows how many challengers, but they don't run from the fire. But this is where his Continental Championship run ends, going down in a blaze of bullets and fire. Then so be it. And then we get Ospreay versus Garcia made for tomorrow night.
Why is it a mystery? I'm a little out of the loop.
Well, so this is the first time, as far as I am aware, that this Continental Cup has been mentioned. And I am very curious as to what it is. And it seems very weird to me, considering we already have a tournament for the Continental Championship at the end of every year.
So it's not the same thing.
Apparently not. And I guess my biggest question to you, Matt, is why do we need another Continental tournament?
I don't know. The last time I was hardcore into AEW was Jon Moxley was losing in the Classic, and then he won it, and I was really turned off. Like, really turned off to the point that I haven't been watching AEW. We went to, what was it, Double or Nothing?
Yes, which was phenomenal.
Amazing show. And I'm like, thank God it was amazing. But, like, yeah, like, Moxley as champ bugs the crap out of me. And also, they should have unified the International Championship with the Continental Championship. Like, we had the belt for that, and then we just forgot about it. So maybe
there's a whole other story, but yeah,
maybe this mystery tournament will take care of that for us. Fletcher win both belts, or Okada win both belts. Just take the belt off of Moxley, though, please. He's great. I love him, but like, he's had too much championship. Like, Jericho hasn't even had this much championship gold.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, but I do think Moxley has had a very good run with this belt. I think the most of the matches he's had with the Continental title have been really, really good. Even tonight, like, I mean, he faced Komander, and it was still a very good match.
Mom, you can't be doing this, please.
His string of matches against Kyle O'Reilly were very good, and even the one-offs have been good. So I've enjoyed his Continental title run, but. Yeah, I'm very confused as to what Tony Khan is doing here with the Continental Cup. I'm very curious to see what it is, but just first impressions are why.
I want the winner of the cup to come out and be like, congratulations, you won the championship. Or, what's in this mystery box?
Oh, it could be anything. It could even be a boat.
But we already have a boat.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it should become number one contender, but Moxley seems like he's going to be in it. So very, very confusing. Quick couple of comments here involving the Bang Bang Gang and the Death Riders. Maria thinks Jay is going to turn against the Bang Bang Gang. I don't know. He just got back to join up with them. I don't think he would immediately leave. At least
maybe that's why they do it, though.
Yeah. Let's see. It's saying the show didn't say Switchblade was hurt, but the Death Rider said it. I think it was more just implying that he's fragile.
They alluded to it. It was not confirmed, but
yeah,
we appreciate that comment. It's a good observation on your part. We observed it too.
Yeah. Death Riders did make the comment Jay can't stay on the field and maybe think he was hurt again. Yeah, again, I just think it was like he's frail. It takes him longer to recover than the Death Riders would, but I guess not. All right, let's head to the final segment, which happened right after this, which was supposed to be, we hear from Kenny Omega. So Shivani's in the ring, and he introduces the world champ. Kenny comes down to the ring. He gets the mic from Tony. And before he can get 2 words out, attempting to explain what happened at Redemption, Will Ospreay's music hits, and he comes down to the ring. And he gets down there, and Kenny's like, all right, cut the music. All right, fine. This is great. I didn't want this, this didn't need to be heard by anybody, especially you people, but you're out here, fine. We'll make this fun. We'll do a little show and tell. And Kenny says that on Sunday, he showed Ospreay how he felt as he hit him with the one-winged angel. And now he looks upon the angered and bewildered face of Will, so maybe it's time for the tell part. And Kenny says that he cares about Will and he wants the best for him, and asks him to remember the promise they made to each other to continue to strive to become the world champion as they look out for each other. And Kenny says that 10 times out of 10, He always put their friendship above the belts. Hell, it was the whole reason that he let Ospreay enter the Owen Hart Cup on his own, because he wanted to see his friend succeed and not get in the way. Because implying that he would have won it. And in return, Ospreay told Omega that it really sucked that Kenny had given up on himself. And Ospreay has no idea how deep that cut him. But as he holds the title up, he asks Will, does it look like I gave up? And he says that Will isn't somebody who gets to talk down to him. Even after Kenny gave him all of those warnings about the Death Riders and Moxley, he still had to learn the hard lesson himself. And what's Will's excuse now that it blew up in his face? So Ospreay goes over and he grabs a mic, and he answers that his excuse was that he came back too early from neck surgery because all he could think about was revenge. And when he let it slip through his fingers, he lost all of the confidence he had. And in that moment, he had no friends he could turn to. He couldn't go to Kyle Fletcher. He couldn't go to Mark Davis. He couldn't go to Callum over in New Japan. And he couldn't even turn to his hero, something Ken vehemently objects to. But who was there? The guy who took away his old life, the guy he had so much hatred for. He gave Will a new life and an opportunity. And Will saw that, and he didn't see the guy across from him who broke his neck, but rather the four-time champion who could take him to where he wanted to be. Ospreay says that he actually loved being a Death Rider. He loved the training. He loved the camaraderie. He says it felt like when he was going from town to town in New Japan, and everyone had each other's backs. And he even got to understanding why they were so protective of this place. But that's where it ends, because he doesn't share Moxley's ideas of how he can get to being world champion. And he's going to get there by being the best. So Will saw Kenny there, face down in the ring with a chair wrapped around his neck. He couldn't stand by and see someone that he loves go through the same thing he went through. And then Kenny cuts in, asking Will if that's what it was. And he's like, let me take you back to Sunday when Kenny was getting beat down and getting beat down for minutes. And then the chair was slipped around his neck. And Kenny says he couldn't fight back. He couldn't take the chair off his neck because he didn't have the energy. So he closed his eyes and accepted his fate. Then he heard the roar of the crowd, and he knew it was Ospreay there to save him. But as Kenny laid there and minutes passed, he eventually took the chair off of himself. And when Kenny got up under his own power and saw Will, it painted the whole picture for him and allowed him to understand more about Will than he ever needed to know. Because there was Will with his belt and a ripped plastic bag at his feet. And the reason it took Will so long to help is because he thought about doing all of that himself. And what made it even worse is that Will's face looked like it expected a thank you for saving Kenny from a trap he set himself. Will then tries to cut in and explain that he didn't set the trap and he had no idea what the Death Riders were going to do. But Kenny slaps Ospreay across the face and calls him a liar, yelling that he thought Ospreay was his friend. Ospreay then gets right up nose to nose with Kenny and he goes, I was your friend. And Kenny sarcastically laughs at that, asking what that makes him now. Is he just a challenger and he slaps Will again? Is he just a guy who's going to hand the belt off to him and he slaps Will a third time? And Kenny says that every time Will gets put in the pressure burner, he crumbles, which is why he isn't holding the title, why Kenny will always be a step ahead, and why Kenny will always be better than him. And in case he hasn't gotten his point across, Kenny slaps him once again, which leads to Ospreay decking Kenny and sending him back. Ospreay then sets up for a hidden blade, but stops short when Kenny falls into the corner. And Ospreay tells him that no matter how much he loves and respects Kenny, if he puts his hand on him, he's going to kick the shit out of him, bro. So Kenny decides to grab his belt and leave the ring, as Ospreay says that since day one of him walking out onto the AEW logo, he has filled in for Kenny whenever Kenny wasn't there. He came every week from the UK to the US to remind everyone that this is where the best wrestle. He has earned his spot to challenge for the championship and given his neck to do so, and standing before him is the biggest mountain he can climb, the one he's been wanting to climb for 10 years. It's a big mountain to push the ball up, but winners always want the ball. The ace always wants the ball, and he wants the ball. Ospreay's 90 minutes are up, extra time is over, and they're into penalties. And if you know anything about England, they're not that good at penalties. But here's the difference. It's Ospreay's turn to kick the ball. He's got an entire country depending on him to bring it home, all asking him if he can pull the trigger. And damn right he can pull the trigger, but he's not going to do it like Kenny and do it from behind, or do it like Moxley and injure Kenny first, because he wants the best versus the best. He is going to do it when it matters most, and he's going to make sure Kenny can see it coming. That was a lot, Matt.
Yes,
But,
you did great. You did great.
thank you.
I was thinking of songs with a ball in it. Like I had a good one earlier, but now I got give me the ball, give me the ball, bam, give me the ball, give me the ball. I hope we don't get hit by a copyright strike.
It's all good. Look, I love
didn't
this.
say the actual lyrics, so I don't know if you got it, but
Whoosh. At least on my end. Hopefully, I'm sure someone will get it in the comments. But
breaking the law. That's those are the
there we go. I thought this was great from these two guys. It's guys who everyone always like, oh, they're not the best promo guys. There was a lot of fire in this. I thought, obviously, it was well delivered. And I think it did a very good job of, it explained everything that happened on Sunday. And it positioned both guys kind of where, like, Kenny's a little bit of a heel, but it's understandable where he's coming from. And Ospreay is still mostly the face, but you could see why Kenny would be pissed at him. And going into a match, which we were looking at as a face versus face match up until pretty much Sunday, in a place where they're very clearly going to be behind Ospreay, I think this is the best possible way they could play this out.
I agree. I would say, like you said, both of them have merit. They both have a point. And you know, they've got a score to settle. They're going to settle it at All In. And I definitely think Kenny, I don't think he's turned heel, but he's definitely tweening. I think it's going to be, he's a tweener for this. We'll see what happens afterwards. But I think they wanted just to assure that more people rooted for Ospreay than what they thought already that there was. Because I think I would say probably like 65-35 Ospreay, but I think they want it more like 75-25.
Oh, it'll be like 90-10 in Wembley. But
so many people love Omega. Like I'm not. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But
yeah.
I think they just whatever the numbers, they just want to assure that it does get that 90-10. You know.
Yeah, and I think more. Yeah, and I think what this also helps do is you heard chants for Omega tonight during his promo when he was explaining why he did what he did and why he feels the way he feels. And people were chanting for Kenny. And I think what this helps do is you are still going to get some of those cheers. Like you said, people love Kenny Omega. And I'm talking strictly in America here in the build-up to All In. Kenny's still going to get cheered somewhat. But if he continues to do what he's doing, he will get booed at some point when he takes those feelings and lashes out at will and does things like basically bitch slapping him across the face.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And before that, it was very much a Sam Wilson. He's out of line, but he's right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think this works so well. So like you said, I think you're gonna get more 65-35. You know, here in the build up in the States, but once they hit Wembley, it's all Ospreay crowd wise. So looking forward to seeing these two guys continue to interact over the next couple of weeks. I think, you know, as mentioned, I think Ospreay versus Garcia tomorrow is going to be a lot of fun. If people watch Collision, Collision looks sad.
I think they need a viable second show. They've got so many titles. They should have two brands, two split rosters, but I don't think they need to be strictly split. Like you can bounce back and forth. Like they do that on SmackDown and Raw now all the time. They're always bouncing back.
Yeah.
But you don't have a viable second show.
I would disagree. I think that you have Collision Cowboys. Like you have people who are mostly on Collision. The Bang Bang Gang were Collision Cowboys for forever, you know, especially when they're healthy. But I do think that Collision is a good second show. If you actually watch it, you know, it's a lot of fun. I do enjoy watching it. It's just in a bad time slot on Saturday night. Now, it does good numbers for that time slot.
That they're pretty good. The numbers I have.
Yes, considering it's like 8 o'clock on a Saturday.
I think it's really tough to ask wrestling fans because a lot of people aren't purists. They're just straight up wrestling fans. We are straight up wrestling fans. I think it's a lot to ask someone to watch wrestling on both Friday night and Saturday night.
Yeah.
And if you've watched Friday night, you're less likely to watch Saturday night, at least if you're me, because you're like, I'm exhausted. But thank God SmackDown's gone back to 2 hours. Not that I watch it anyway, but yeah, I mean, that's what you guys hired me originally for. It's like, watch SmackDown. I'm like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, honestly, anytime you cover WWE is good, but
One more line. I don't really feel like it. Why did you ask me later?
yeah, exactly. Dude, you're talking to somebody who hasn't watched an episode of Raw or SmackDown in years, but but I agree with you. Like, it is tough. Saturday night, you've watched wrestling Monday through Friday already. If you're watching everything, and now you got to watch a 6th day. Your only off day is Sunday.
And again, folks, it's not just watching the wrestling; it's reviewing the wrestling. It's
yeah,
like, think about watching the wrestling, and then you have to at least add, like, I wouldn't say we double it, but it's at least like half of that, whatever the wrestling was.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about reviewing it; just strictly watching it. It's watching wrestling 6 days a week is tough. So
don't listen to him. We love it. We do it all for you.
That being said, Collision is a very good show, and that's why I think the cards are usually pretty stacked, and tomorrow looks very, very good. Was the point there?
Let's get to this first matchup, the triple threat. Did we talk about it yet?
No, I was about to head back to everything after the comments here.
Good. Comments sounds great. Let's do it.
Yep, let's hit that. JT saying that Kenny had no choice but to play the heel going into All In. And I agree. And again, I don't think he's full-blown heel, but it allows the people who want to root for Ospreay to have a little more of an excuse to boo Kenny. And especially going into England, as we mentioned, this is the correct choice. It's saying the promo battles tonight, we had the men's and the women's. He thought that the women's was better. The men's was just too long. It was a bit long. I will agree.
It's also the show was very long, and that was the last thing, so it felt even longer. Like, I don't know if I agree that it was too long, but like, again, I was exhausted. I'm like, this should have ended the trios match. I would have been happy.
Yeah. Let's see. Saying the most disappointing part of Kenny here tonight is that James is not here to take his medicine. There's some comments here on the women's promo. We'll get to those later. So just somebody remind me. Derek, good night. Hopefully, Claudio is around tomorrow. Enjoyed Collision and SummerSlam. Thank you, sir. We hope you enjoy your night. Let's see. Maria saying the build for this is excellent. It's saying college football is around the corner, so his Saturday watching TV is fully booked. Yeah, that's another thing, too. They got to compete against that. They got to compete against, I know right now it's baseball, but, there's still Saturday night baseball.
Well, the Mets suck, so, like.
Yeah, but, there's 29 other teams.
That don't matter.
Maria's saying that she doesn't think Kenny is heel. And I think that's the the brilliant part about this is you can legitimately see it that way. Kenny isn't in the wrong for how he feels at the moment. Will teaming up with the Death Riders, taking probably a little too long to decide whether or not to put a plastic bag over Kenny's head. Like, Kenny, he has, I think, every right to feel this way. I just think his actions and reactions to his feelings have kind of pushed him more towards a heelish side.
They're not healthy.
You think he's right. Yes, correct.
And Kenny seems like a pretty healthy dude, like, emotionally. And this is not our lovable Kenny. So
that depends on which version of Kenny Omega you're looking at. Bullet Club leader Kenny Omega was murdering people.
That's I'm talking about like fun-loving, golden lovers, Kenny.
Yeah. JT still thinks it's all set up between Ospreay and the Death Riders. Very interesting theory. I like that.
It feels very TNA WCW.
Yeah. Maria saying that the women's championship promo felt too long because Willow talks too much. I'm just gonna let you have that one.
It depends how much positivity you like out of someone. Like, I love her.
Maria's also a resident Mercedes fan and hates Willow. And
sometimes I'm just like, I kind of roll my eyes, but we'll get to it. I think she really wraps it up nicely before Mercedes comes out, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Maria's saying both New York teams suck right now. If you're talking about baseball, I mean, the Mets are terrible. The Yankees are still the second best team in the AL, but they're just not playing as well because Judge is out and they can't really do anything without him.
We're still riding high on Nick's fever, so it's all
good.
Yeah,
hang on, wait, I got that. Where are we? There you go. And last thing here for you, Matt. Good job on doing things recently. I heard you're hosting the Oscars.
Who is hosting the Oscars anyway?
I don't know. Apparently you are, and that's as far as I know.
Some bald guy. It's like, no, thanks. It's so funny, like being a part of a podcast and not actually being on the podcast much. But like I've got my fingers dipped in other things with the podcast, so plenty of stuff to look at on Instagram. We've been covering the produce shows. We got Produce Volume 3 coming up, and I was just at Saturday night's main event. You could see me. I was a couple of drinks deep, dancing behind the commentary desk. So
yeah, I flipped it on because of the Knicks, and I was like, I should have known they were waiting for Brunson to the end or saving Brunson for the end, but I was like, is that fucking Matt behind Michael Cole?
It's so weird. I heard that, and we'll get back to AEW. We won't, it's not a WWE show, but I will say, I just hearing the notes of some people in the company were annoyed by all the Knicks involvement. It's like, well, then you should have just booked Brock Lesnar versus Sami Zayn in the main event. Like that would have solved all your problems. You could have done the Knicks thing to start off the show. Instead, you had Roman Reigns aura farming off of Jalen Brunson and the city of New York. Like, if you're not from New York, you're not a Knicks fan, watching the end of that Saturday night's main event, especially if you were a Spurs fan, must have been like absolutely painful. Like, it's just like, what are you doing? I enjoyed it, but that's because I'm a Knicks fan. I'm in New York. I'm in MSG, but like, come on, think about everybody else.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a little ridiculous, but bringing Halliburton out was funny. All right, let's get back on track here. Head back to the top of the show with our opening match, which saw Andrade El Ídolo, the new AEW National Champion, defend his brand new title against Jungle Jack Perry and Nick Wayne, both of whom went through a pretty grueling ladder match to get a shot at the International Championship on Sunday, neither of whom won. But because of that, Nick Wayne came into this match with his neck heavily taped, and he also injured his knee early on, hitting a splice spread number 2 on the floor to Andrade. A couple of the better sequences here. We had a great one coming out of the commercial break where Nick Wayne tried to powerbomb Jack off the top rope, and Jack instead was able to basically take Andrade and hit him with a Rana as he was falling, and that sent Andrade to the floor. And then, excuse me, I'm reading two things at once. Perry hit Andrade with a Rana from the apron onto the floor, and then Wayne hit Perry with a destroyer through the ropes, which was just insane. And then later, we had Jack turn a top rope powerbomb into a DDT onto Andrade. That knocked Andrade out of the ring. Then he hit a reverse Rana onto Wayne that sent him to the outside. Perry then hit a tope suicida on each of them, hit a tope con hilo onto both of them, went up top, hit a moonsault to the outside, got Wayne back in the ring for a Liger bomb, hit that, but then Nick Wayne kicked out.
Yeah, that reminded me a lot of like Cesaro's crazy antics in that multi-man tag team match on Raw, where, he just keeps going. He's like going around the ring and like doing all this crazy stuff. It's like, where does this guy get this from? So it was definitely very much like that. It reminded me of that. So good for you, Jack Perry, because like Claudio is like literally one of my favorites, and it's such an amazing sequence. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. You could probably literally just type in Cesaro goes nuts on Raw, and like it would probably pop up.
Yeah, one of my favorites. And I got to say, Perry had a lot of big high spots in this match, as did Wayne. And I want to quickly shout him out because he's using the Phoenix Splash. And I love that move. And I feel like the only time I ever see it is when Seth Rollins rolls through on it. But
very fair. And I'd like to shout out to Nick Wayne's mom, Mother Wayne. Where are you?
She's got it going on.
I didn't say that. I was implying that. Come on, I'm trying to have some riz here. No, I love you, Nick Wayne. My cosplay son. I'll put it that way. We wish we had that picture of me and him and me dressed up as Christian. I don't have hair anymore.
Yes. I was just doing the Fountains of Wayne bit, but to get to the end here, Nick actually did hit one of those Phoenix Splashes, and he went to pit Andrade, but Jack then broke it up. Andrade then hit a Dia de los Muertos onto Perry, and that sent him out of the ring. Wayne then tried to roll up Andrade, but he kicked out, and after ducking a wild right hand from Wayne, Andrade hit him with the DM to retain his title. After the match, Tony Schiavone got into the ring to interview Andrade, ask him how he felt about winning the title and defending it here tonight. Andrade says he feels tranquilo because he screwed MJF, kissing the Dynamite Diamond ring that he is still in possession of, and he screwed Don Callis. He says he can fight anyone, but no matter who he fights, he will become the greatest national champion ever. Tony then brings up the fact that Andrade still wants the AEW World Championship and that there's a Casino Gauntlet match coming up at All In. Should be very exciting. And there's a qualifying match for that in Arena Mexico next week. And he asked Andrade if that's something he might be interested in. And Andrade replies with one question for Tony: how'd you know?
Which is so over, by the way.
It really is.
I enjoy it. I do worry that he's going to become like Bart Simpson, the I didn't do it kid.
Say the line, Bart.
So yeah, hopefully that does not happen. It's funny. I jumped into Dynamite, and this was like they were coming in. I'm like, oh, cool, a singles match between Nick and Jungle Boy, and then they added Andrade, and it was great. And there was like even some spots you didn't mention, Jungle Boy hitting a bulldog onto Nick Wayne after a reversal on the outside, and Andrade doing a top rope tope, like jumping over the top rope and smashing on.
Yeah, hitting the crossbody. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was like, it was good timing too. Like it wasn't like Jack was standing there for too long. It was just kind of like it was enough time. It was safe. It worked. Kudos to you guys. I'd love to see a singles match between Nick Wayne and Jack Perry. I'd love to see Andrade versus Jack Perry. Like this is all good stuff. Good on them. There's too many titles in AEW though. Like this national title, I think is like at the bottom. But good for Andrade. Like I keep up the good work and keep going up.
Yeah, and we had that discussion about the too many titles in AEW. I think we had it just last week on the show here after Dynamite. But I will say I did love this match. I agree with you about Nick and Jack. They're definitely building towards that singles match. I think they had them interact before the ladder match last week. They had a bunch of stuff during that match. I think they took each other out actually towards the end of it. Now they're in this match together. They're building that towards that definitely. But I thought this was a great opening match. Great spot to put it. It was very fast paced. I thought these two like quick, smaller, flippy guys going against Andrade, who has that speed, but them being smaller allows Andrade to show his power off a bit more. Something he gets to do, but not always. I just thought it was a great matchup for everybody. The crowd, and I'm going to say this quite a bit tonight. The crowd in Detroit was awesome tonight. They were so good. They were loud. I put out on Blue Sky. I was like, give them a pay-per-view. They were hot the entire night. Absolutely loved this match, and just a great way to really get the crowd into it to start the show.
I thought the same thing all around. I also loved how they were all wearing pants.
Good call. Let's see. We get to some comments. All right, Maria Bochari will call it on the next talk. James. Hi, James. I just got here and we're on a tangent. It was like a 2-second thing about Saturday night's main event in the next. We're fine. See, JT saying he loves Mercedes, but he doesn't think she's winning it at All In, though he hopes she's wrong. James doesn't think she's winning either. James saying the Phoenix Splash, the move he learned from Christian Cage. As all things, Christian taught both Jack and Nick everything they know. You know it out here making fun of James because
he just got here, and why not?
Yeah, if he needs to take his medicine. Marie agrees with us that Jack and Nick have great chemistry together. Yeah, and 100%. And I'm surprised this isn't something that's kind of happened sooner. I mean, I guess it kind of did when Christian was around, but like considering the fact that, as James put them, they're both children of Cage, I'm surprised they haven't had a feud before. So I'm enjoying this little mini feud here. And as you mentioned, James, as you mentioned, Nick, hopefully, God damn it, Nick, Matt, James, whoever you are.
It's all good. I'm turning into
my grandmother. As you mentioned, Matt, I think that's going to come soon. Let's see. JT saying, I will hate this because everything we say, people will say how you know. Yeah, it's fun. I think Matt's right. He's got to be careful with it, but the crowd was chanting it like crazy tonight. So he's going to work it into almost all of his promos now, but you don't want to go full Jey Uso.
You want to just keep it clever as long
Yeah.
as the crowd's still. It's a fine line. I'm no expert by any means, but it is something I've thought about. So again, so far so good. I'm going to briefly mention before I go and let you do your thing because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning. I have to be up for. I will be at Tropicon. I know it's backwards. Sorry.
No,
guys.
you're good. You're good. It's forwards here on our side.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
The screen is
I'll
flipped.
be at Tropicon. That is 2 weeks from Saturday, and it'll also be Sunday. I'm probably only going Saturday. That's here on Long Island. Willow will be there. I will see about interviewing Willow. I make no promises. I've only been approved for, press, media. I still haven't heard back from AEW yet. They're very persnickety on who they've given me interviews in the past, but I have to bug the shit out of them for them. Be like, hey, you get that email? And they're like, yeah, it's up to them if they want to interview. I'm like, good enough for me, and I make it happen because I'm cool like that. So,
all right, yeah, hey, anything you can get from Willow, the new AEW Women's World Champion, would be great. Obviously, we love Willow here on the pod. I'm thrilled she is the champ. I was a little upset Tekla lost because I thought she was having a great run, but Willow being champ, the promo tonight, it made everything okay. But hopefully, guys, you can go out there if you're out here in New York. Go see Matt out at Tropicon. Otherwise, you can catch up with him on all of his good and all of his other good stuff over on our Instagram at Market Down Pod over there. Matt, any last things before you go?
Congrats to Willow. Definitely one of my favorites. I just don't like that it kind of feels like we're doing the same thing when she won the TBS championship the first time, that she's just kind of the transitional champion for Mercedes. And also it feels too similar to what they just did with the men's world title. The fact that we're going to switch up the champ, just before the pay-per-view. I'm not thrilled about it. Maybe they put a wrench in the works. Maybe they swerve us and not both of them win championships. But I kind of would have preferred Tekla versus Mercedes and just give us Mercedes as a face, even if it's just for one match. I think people would have been into that.
I still maintain Tekla would have been a face at All In if she was going against Mercedes. But
all right.
But yeah, I'm okay with it. I think I kind of agree with James and JT. I can actually see Willow retaining. So we'll have more time to talk about that a little bit later and as we get closer to All In. But Matt, I know you got to go. Thank you for joining me to lend a little extra perspective here tonight. I appreciate it a lot. I'm sure the chat does too.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Keep up the good work. I will remove myself without ending the stream. I only did that once.
It was only the one time. It's okay.
Right, sometimes, even though this layout I'm never good with. But here we go. Adios.
Alt F4 yourself. All right. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it. All right. Let's get to a couple of the comments here. JC saying that Andrade teased MJF. Does anyone know how MJF's knee is doing? The answer to that is no, I don't. I'm hoping that MJF is good for All In because it seems like the obvious match there is Andrade versus MJF. At least to me, probably to get the Diamond ring back. I'm just gonna have to remove Matt myself, aren't I? Nope, I can't. Okay. All you gotta do is hit X on the browser, Matt. If you can still hear me. So it's saying, be careful around Willow. If she smiles at you, run. The devil always comes around with a smile. She is... No. All right. We'll talk about Willow more later, guys. I know there's a lot there, but we got a lot more to get through. Including some other women's stuff, which was the Brawling Birds backstage interview. And Renee is there to ask them about how we've been hearing a lot from the Women's World Tag Team Championships about the Birds. And the Birds are just like, what we think about that? So Hater says that this isn't all elite talking, and the champs know what they're there for. Windsor says that they're undefeated, Divine Dominion's undefeated with their beautiful belts, and the Birds want them. As for the MITs, or at least I think that's what we were going with here, judging based on the later matchup, those being the Minions in Training for Athena, Hater says that they can pick any two of them and they will beat the piss out of them on Collision, Brawling Birds style. And then we actually end up with a trios match for Collision. It's the Birds and Hazuki against Athena, Billy Sparks, and Diamante. Keep the Birds in the back of your mind, though. They'll come around later. After that, we came back from commercial with a backstage interview with the Don Callis family right before their upcoming match. So we have Renee, and she tries to ask that carny piece of shit Don Callis about, regaining some of their momentum following a few losses on Sunday by winning their match, their upcoming match tonight. And Fletcher immediately jumps in to say that he didn't lose on Sunday. Rather, he retained his title without anybody's help. And now he is well on his way to becoming the greatest international champion of all time. Don agrees with him and says that they might have taken some L's on Sunday, but that's just part of the wrestling business. But now you have Mark Davis, who's angrier than ever, and Don is really looking forward to that. And as for Kevin Knight, Knight said he didn't need the family, but now he knows that sometimes we all need a little bit of help from the family. And Knight appreciates that from Don, saying that it didn't feel great to lose, but it felt great to go toe-to-toe with one of the greats in the main events. And they both know that it's not going to be the last time the Jet is going to headline pay-per-views around here. So for now, he's going to take a step back and appreciate the little things, like the fact that he is still champion. Something he hopes that Kyle Fletcher can say after next week, considering that he and Speedball have a 1-1 record against each other. And Fletcher replies that Knight should focus on keeping his own title because the International Championship will never leave the family. And before Kevin Knight can respond, Kazuchika Okada comes out of a door, I presume from their locker room, and says that Kyle is right. The International Championship will never leave the family. And they kind of like just side-eyes Kyle and walked away. And Kyle's like, what the? And then his music hits and he has to go out for his match. Let's see. It's saying, I love the Brawling Birds, but they need to stay out of the CEO's business. All right. Again, we will talk about all that stuff later. You guys are jumping the gun quite a bit. JT is saying Okada versus Fletcher at All In, but JT, I don't know. I know you're a little bit newer around here, and we appreciate it. James and I have been saying for a while now, we think it's going to be a triple threat between the two of them and Konosuke Takeshita when Takeshita gets back from Japan and the G1. That is going to absolutely slap. And I think it makes the most sense considering how that title has rotated between those three men, the amount of hatred and vitriol between Takeshita and Okada and Takeshita and Fletcher, and now this budding rivalry between Okada and Fletcher. I think that makes the most sense. And we haven't really gotten too many triple threats on the card yet. I know it's still a little early, but if you're going to do one, that's the one to do, at least on the men's side. Okay, that then obviously led into our trios match. It was Brodito and Speedball Mike Bailey versus Don Callis family members Kyle Fletcher, along with Brian Cage and Jake Doyle. And of course, that carny piece of shit Don Callis was on commentary. Once again, going to shout out the crowd here. They were incredibly hot during this match, especially when Brody was in the ring. Big fuck Ice chants, big fuck Don Callis, fuck Ice 2 chants. And then at a certain point in the match, Brody tagged in and was going 2-on-1 with Cage and Doyle, and every hit was just a large meat. So shout out to the crowd. Once again, Detroit, you guys were great tonight. I do apologize for wearing a Chicago hat with a Lions jersey, but I have no other hat that matches this jersey, my man. Okay, so to jump to the end here, we had everyone get taken out on the outside. Cage and Brody took each other out. Speedball and Fletcher took each other out. Speedball doing it in a super dope way, hitting that springboard moonsault as he dodged Fletcher coming at him to the ropes. Hit that to the outside. So you got Bandito and Doyle left one-on-one in the ring. Bandito was able to get Doyle into position for a 21-plex, but Doyle was able to recover as Bandito was coming back off the ropes and absolutely rocked Bandito with a right forearm. Doyle then brought Bandito into the corner, and this was the corner that Bandito and his team were tagging out of. And he tried to get Bandito up for a pile driver. However, Bandito was able to counter and basically just continually drop to his knees, preventing Doyle from getting him up for that pile driver. As that was happening, Bailey had recovered, and he snuck around over to the ring, tagged himself in, tagged Bandito, and climbed to the top rope as Doyle continued to struggle with Bandito. As Bandito once again dropped to a knee, and Doyle was bent over, Speedball hit the ultimate weapon, dropping his knees onto Doyle's back. He then went into the middle of the ring and rolled Doyle up with that cross-arm pinning predicament that he used to beat Kyle Fletcher in the C2. And then he was able to pin Doyle to get the victory. So great match here. You get a big win for Speedball heading into his international title match with Fletcher next week at Grand Slam Mexico. And honestly, just that little taste that we got of Fletcher and Speedball in this match reminded me of how much chemistry these two guys have together. That Continental Classic match absolutely fucked. And we're going to get a third one now in Arena Mexico. I cannot wait for that match next week. That card at Grand Slam looks stacked. And I'm sure we're going to get some great CMLL talent thrown into that card as we get closer to next week. So I'm so excited for that. But this is a headliner for next week. Oh, boy. And that's not even to talk about what the other half of Aussie Open's doing. But we'll get to that in a bit. JT saying he likes the idea of the Fletcher Okada Takeshita triple threat. It's the best. So excited for that. Okay. Following that trios match, we came back from commercial to the much hyped Cope and Cage and Young Bucks sit-down interview with Renee Paquette. Asking, is Grand Slam in Mexico City? Yes, it is next week. La Ciudad de Mexico. Yeah, so they're having it at Arena Mexico, which is the home base for CMLL, one of the most historic wrestling sites in the world. And they had Grand Slam Mexico last year, and it was very good. So expect a lot of flippy shit from a lot of luchadors, and expect some damn fine wrestling. And a very, very hyped crowd. Back to this tag team championship sit-down interview, though. Renee starts things off by saying how excited she is for this match at All In, along with all the fans. Obviously, we're all very excited about this, too. And she asks the Bucks how they're feeling about it. Nick says he's already anxious and nervous. They're planning the trip for their families, to go across the pond so they can see a match that they never thought was going to happen. He says it's an honor for them to be facing Cope and Cage as they revolutionize tag team wrestling, much like the Bucks did, if he can humbly say so himself. And Cope replies that he'll say it for them. The Bucks did revolutionize tag team wrestling. And it's an honor for them to be in this match as well, a match that they also thought was never going to happen. And they also appreciate everything the Bucks have done to keep tag team wrestling alive at a time when it was really being pushed aside. And I would also like to point out, Cope did mention FTR in saying that they were also doing that same thing. Christian then interrupts. And he says that they didn't come back to do a retirement tour or a greatest hits tours. Now that they have the tag team championships, they're out to prove not only that they're the best tag team of their generation, but the Bucks generation as well. And then Cage says that he's glad the Bucks wives are coming. And Matt's like, oh, all right, we're not doing that. And Matt says that this is Cope and Cage's second career. Their legacy is made. But the Bucks, he says, they're still forming their legacy. And their legacy is those tag titles, as they would become the most decorated tag team in AEW history if they were to win them for a record fourth time. They previously spent 2 years trying to get those tag titles back, and then last year they lost everything at All In. And now they've gone from all the way to rock bottom, and have scratched and clawed their way back to get another opportunity after they blew their last one in LA to FTR. And Cope says he can appreciate that. He gets it. Between him and Cage, they lost 17 years of their career, and they didn't win tag titles together for 25 years. So while he gets it, he asks the Bucks not to play that comparison game. Matt's like, all right, that's cool. And he wants to tell them and basically warn them that while he thinks that Cope and Cage are legends, there's nothing that can stop the Bucks from becoming four-time champions. This isn't going to be a Kobe scoring 60 points in his last game thing. Cope and Cage are going to be lucky if they even get on the board at Wembley, because the Bucks will be coming harder, faster, stronger, Daft Punk style. He didn't say that last part. Than ever before to regain their legacy. Cage says it sounds like the Bucks are trying to talk themselves into it because things are going to look a lot different when the music stops and they're face-to-face with their heroes in the ring. Will they be able to raise their game up to the next level the way he and Cope always have? And Cage isn't trying to downplay how great the Bucks are, because they want to be the greatest. And in order to be the greatest, they have to beat the Bucks, which he says is going to happen. Renee gets another question in and asks why it would be more to Cope and Cage to retain their titles at Wembley. Cope answers that it's because they're still doubted at this stage of their career, despite all they've done and all the work they've put in. They've created matches, they've created pay-per-views, and somehow there is still doubts. Renee turns to the Bucks and pretty much asks them the same question, asking if they feel like they're being doubted. And Matt says that they've been doubted their entire career. Their whole career has been about having a chip on their shoulder, being the guys fighting from underneath because they're either too small or they do too many high spots or they do too many super kicks. Cope and Cage might be bigger, faster, and taller and more experienced. Maybe not faster, but they might be bigger, taller, and more experienced. But this is what they do. And they can't forget that they're the Young Bucks, and they've been doing this for a long time, too. And then Renee thanks everybody, and everyone seems pretty cordial, and we head back to commentary. So this was very good. Like, it was a lot of, I don't want to call it a love fest, but there's a whole lot of respect between these four guys, even if, Cage is he's a little bit of a prick about it. But he did, he gave the Bucks their flowers, and the Bucks gave the flowers right back. So very interesting setup here in terms of, all right, which way are we going and who's the heel, who are the face? Are the Bucks staying face? Are we keeping Cope and Cage the way they've been aligned, where Cage is still the heel? We just love him for it. I'm very curious to see how they end up playing this out as we get closer to All In. I'm sure it'll go a certain way where, guys will probably end up accidentally get hit with super kicks or spears or something to create more tension. But it does feel to me like this is going to be a little more face-face. The Bucks might get a little bit more of an edge because they're the Bucks, and they probably figure they're not going to get cheered in Wembley versus Cope and Cage, especially in front of a crowd that hasn't seen these guys tag together. Oh, no, they did last year. But still, or at least tag together for championships in a very long time. So that's, I imagine, where this goes. I thought this was very good, though. I think maybe my one critique, as much as I love Renee, this feels like a spot I would really like to see Mick Foley in. I know he was on the show later, but sit-down interview seems like something he would excel at. And it's something I thought they should have done with JR for a very long time, especially when he wasn't doing play-by-play anymore. Obviously, he can't really do that now. But I still think Renee did a great job, and she's still very, very good at it. I think Mick could have a really good role here in AEW doing that type of stuff. All right, more comments. Let's see, what do we got? You got it, you know it. I did say rock bottom, yes. That's what Matt said, but different guy, different show. Let's see, JT saying this match is going to be really good. Whoever wins gets interrupted by Woods and Creed after the match. Well, I'm sure a lot of you saw their Instagram post today with the unicorns breaking out of the circus, giving the head nod to the unicorn, the very jacked unicorn with the broken, the broken horn. I'm very interested to see how they implement Kofi and Creed, because I know there's a lot of people who think the way you do, JT, that this is going to come, after the match. There are some people, I think James has brought this up as well, where, they pull a Hardy Boys at WrestleMania, whatever it was, 30, or it was the one in Orlando. And maybe they just pop up and are inserted into the match. I don't know, but I would be utterly shocked if the former New Day didn't show up at Wembley in some capacity. Let's see. Maria's saying the Bucks are a little lame as baby faces. Cope and Christian seem a lot cooler. The Bucks are, I think, better when they are heels. It's just that the Bucks were so good as heels, much kind of like, I don't want to compare them to The Rock, but when you get the cool heels, eventually their shit gets over and they become baby faces. And that's what happened with the Elite, especially with the Bucks. the tail end of their New Japan run and the beginning of the AEW run. So it's weirdly hard for them to get heat when they're doing this version of the Young Bucks. It's why I like the Founding Father stuff so much and the Evil EVP stuff so much, is because they were actually able to get booed, which was something it was kind of difficult for them to do for a while, at least since, Kenny lost the title the first time and, they were doing the whole Super Elite thing. So I understand what you're saying. They are better when they're when they're dicks. I know they're good Christian boys, but they're better when they're out there just super kicking everybody and going crazy. So we'll see how they end up playing it. But I could see them having a bit more of an edge to them, no pun intended, as they get closer to All In, to kind of similar to Kenny and Ospreay, give the fans more of a reason to cheer Cope and Cage and then in turn boo the Bucks. Let's see. What's saying? I recently watched the movie The Empty Man, and that guy reminded me of Cage quite a bit. I have not seen that, but okay, maybe James has. He can probably help you out better. Let's see. JT saying, "Oh, the video Woods and Creed." Or for the record, Woods and Creed are the same person. Austin Creed is Xavier Woods, and then obviously you have Kofi Kingston, who I believe is just going by Kofi now. But yes, they did have that awesome visual. Highly recommend going to see it if you haven't already. It's up on their Instagram. It's up on Reddit as well. James saying this was tailor-made for JR. Exactly, yeah. These sit-down interview things are 100% up his alley and would have been a great way to continue to feature him on the show before his most recent bout with illness. But, it is what it is nowadays. See, JT saying that Cope and Christian are just cool. I agree. Hello, Fernando. What's going on, dude? We're a little bit ways through the show, but if you have any comments about some other stuff, I can try to mix them in. But you did the Dynamite was fire, and I concur. Let's see. Fernando asking, are the 90 days over? So, James and I mentioned this, I think, last week. The majority of those releases that we saw from WWE about 3 months ago are good. So people like the Motor City Machine Guns, which I will talk about later. They're good. Kaylee Ray is good. Santos Escobar is good. That crop is all good. People are a little unsure about the New Day because while it was announced, they were leaving after that crop of releases. No one's entirely really sure if they were like go during that and it just came out later, or they were released like around the day it came out. So no one's 100% sure, but we'll end up seeing how that all goes. Like I said, New Day, if they don't show up at Wembley, I'd be utterly shocked. I'm sure James will eat a shoe if they don't. Let's see. I'm saying, did Sheamus change his name? I saw a video title, but I didn't watch. I believe he did. I think because I saw on his social media stuff that he did change his name. I imagine he probably changed it over on his Celtic Warrior workout stuff too. So you can check it. I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, but I believe he changed it. You know it. Fernando asking, did James leave you for WWE Radio? First and foremost, I'm sure James would love to be on WWE Radio, but that's a good fucking line, dude. Oh man, although he probably get fired real quick because he's always gonna want to do is talk TNA and AEW. Let's see. Hey, Darren's not completely in bed yet. Just saw the 8-man tag graphic for tomorrow night. It is indeed Claudio, along with Moxley, Pac, and Universe, Ace Austin, Juice Robinson, and the Guns. He also believes the Dogs will probably get involved and help the Death Riders. That sounds about right. I appreciate the heads up, Derek. Good night to you as well. And as you know, I just said, tomorrow night is packed. Yeah, so if you are not a huge Collision guy or girl because you don't watch it on Saturday and you got a free Thursday, I highly recommend Collision. Or unless you're watching TNA, because then James is going to get sad. James saying that he doesn't want to eat a shoe. You put me up to eat a shoe like last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm just returning the favor. Okay, bud? So either we're both holding each other to this or neither of us are holding each other to it. Thank you, James. James is now S. Farley, I would think. I don't know. Sure enough. Yeah, he'd never leave me, except tonight. It's all right. I wasn't here on Sunday, so, it's fair. Okay, yeah. JT's saying you got to give Mox credit in relation to Collision. The guy's always in the ring. Yeah, he wrestled tonight. He wrestled a really good match tonight against Komander. Oh. Yes, I was there to verbally argue it, but you still put me up to it. So now I'm taking the opportunity to just put you up to it as well. All right. After that interview, we had our next match, which saw Maya World face off against Persephone for the TBS Championship. Maya World, the new TBS champion, as the Hikaru Shida guy on this podcast. I was deeply disappointed that she lost the title. She only held it for like 27 days or something, which whack. But I'm happy. You can't be mad at the fact that Maya won the title. Obviously, her story the last few months has been both obviously sad but inspirational, with the loss of her brother and everything. Getting into the Owen, because of the, I think it was because of an injury. Being able to fill that spot, go all the way on to the finals, have a banger with Mercedes, and now come out, win the TBS title on her birthday on Sunday. They've strapped a rocket to her, and sometimes you just got to, ride the momentum and do that. And I'm, good for her for taking advantage, not only taking advantage of the opportunity, but absolutely killing it. So shouts to Maya World. I am not mad at you that you beat Shida. I'm just mad Shida lost. To jump to the end of this match, speaking of Shida, Maya was beginning to make a comeback when Shida came running down to the ring, and she slid the kendo stick to Persephone as she distracted the referee. Quick side note, the most perfect slide of a weapon I have ever seen to somebody. It literally ended up, Persephone was like face down in the corner, and it somehow like ended up sliding like under her neck, like under her chin, and, like across her shoulders. You could not have placed that any more perfectly. It was insane. Anyway, with both the ref and briefly Maya distracted, Persephone grabbed the kendo stick and got up and lined Maya up, but Chris Statlander came in from behind and grabbed the kendo stick, initially preventing Persephone from swinging it before pulling it away from her. That allowed Maya to come over and hit her fall-away slam pinning combo. I think there's a name for it, but Excalibur didn't say it, so I don't know it off the top of my head. But she used that to retain her championship, much to the annoyance of both Shida and Persephone, and honestly, quite a bit of shock on Persephone's face as well. And then you had Maya and Statlander standing in the ring with Stat holding Maya's hand up. So a very good match. Persephone honestly dominated most of this, which I guess kind of makes sense. She does hold the title in CMLL. She's been booked as a pretty big deal here in AEW, obviously along with her booking in CMLL. So I'm not totally surprised that she, I don't want to say completely dominated this match, but she was in control for, I think, the majority of it. So maybe, I don't want to say this was the best match just because it felt kind of lopsided. But I like the ending a lot. I think, it progresses the story now of 4 women. We haven't really seen Stat since she lost that survival of the fittest match. There we go. I almost called it a 6-match challenge. The survival of the fittest match at the hands of Persephone and Shida. I think we saw her maybe face Persephone, and then I don't think we've seen her since, at least not off the top of my head. So cool to see her back. Don't be surprised if you get a Shida and Persephone versus Stat and Maya World tag match at some point, whether it's on Collision or over on Dynamite. But either way, I can definitely see that match coming, and that should be a pretty damn good match as well. Let's see. It's saying that Farley's such a redhead name. James corrected me. It was 25 days for Shida. Rub it in. Fernando saying they always give Shida these really short title reigns. Yeah, ever since her COVID title reign, I feel like she's had some really short ones, both with the AEW Women's World Championship and now the TBS title herself. Fernando also saying that Persephone is going to be the future face of the women's division. She's definitely going to be one of the future faces. I think that Tony is very high on her. He's been putting her in a lot more prominent positions lately, especially since she has signed her dual contract with AEW and CMLL. So yeah, I can see her winning titles in AEW. I'm sure at some point there's a tag title in her future. I think James mentioned to me offline, or not on the show, but that he thinks Sheeta's going to go into the tag division. Maybe it's with Persephone. They seem to be, friendly-ish. So maybe you have that. Maybe they win tag titles at some point in the future, although that seems to be locked up at the moment with the Birds, but we'll get to that. And I could definitely see her becoming at least TBS champion in the future, if not the AEW Women's World Champion. JT saying Maya's cool. I really don't like her finisher. That's fair. I like the move a lot, honestly, but I can see why you wouldn't love it as a finisher. I don't know if she has something else in her bag that she uses, but I would definitely love to see her break out some other finishers as well, especially in a company like AEW where your quote-unquote finisher isn't really always what finishes the match. A lot of times you need more than one to put somebody down. Just for an example, look at a guy like Ospreay, where he has multiple ways to finish the match, whether it's the hidden blade, he has he's one with the Styles Clash. He's got the Tiger Driver, even though he doesn't really like to use it. He's got Stormbreaker. Now he's got the arm bar, etc., etc. Like he's got a lot of stuff he can use, and it makes matches. I think the ending of matches, especially, much more interesting and compelling, and makes them a little harder to predict. What thinks Persephone is losing a little bit too much. Fair, although it could be another one of those situations where, much like on the men's side, he has people lose before they really get the big push. But I wouldn't worry too much about Persephone. I think that Tony is still really high on her. Maria says that she has a feeling Maya is going to get a Darby type of reign, and then Cheetah will be getting the TBS championship back very soon. That's also possible. Do you want to get Maya the title, capitalize on all this momentum she has, even if it's just for a short period of time, and then Cheetah wins the title back, maybe at All In, if you want to go, that far with it. I could see something like that happening if, like Tony just wanted the short run to capitalize. Yeah, that's totally possible. But we'll end up seeing how she does, honestly, with the title. If she continues to just put on bangers and the crowd continues to be behind her, maybe Tony just runs with it, and pivots. So we'll see how that goes. JT agreeing with that Persephone is being pinned a bit too much. And Maria is saying she sees some Bianca in Maya. Yeah, she's got that, she's got the confidence, she's got the swagger, and it comes across very well on television. I think that's why a lot of people like her. So, and JT thinks Maria is right that we should maybe getting sheet over stat for the title. I presume you mean it All In. Maybe, but we'll see what happens with Maya in the near future. All right, moving along here, we had a backstage interview with Mark Davis. I kind of referred to this earlier, but Davis says that on Sunday he suffered a personal and embarrassing loss, and now he is 10 pounds lighter without his national championship. And obviously, he is furious, and he needs to do something about that. So he calls out Will Ospreay, saying the record books show that they are 1-1 this year, but Ospreay knows that Will's win comes with a very heavy asterisk because of the Death Riders. And it seems that Will isn't running with the cool kids anymore. So Davis proposes that he leaves the Don Callis family at home, and they face off next week at Grand Slam Mexico, where he is going to chew Ospreay up, spin him out, and leave him broken outside of Arena Mexico. And then that match later gets made official with no outside interference. All right. We now finally get to the thing you guys all seem to be talking about, and I've been not ignoring, but both delaying, which is Willow Nightingale's championship celebration. So we had Renee in the ring. She introduces the new champ, who comes down to a huge ovation, a lot of streamers, a "you deserve it" chant. And I will once again shout out the crowd here in Detroit. They were so loud during this segment, starting first for Willow and just showering her with so much love and praise and affection that Willow was legitimately holding back tears for most of her, the solo part of this segment. And to the point where she was like, guys, you need to stop. The makeup team worked very hard on this, and I don't want to watch it all off crying. So I love that from Willow. Just seeing her so emotional. You could tell, like, I know you guys are joking in the comments about her being so smiley, whatever. She seems so genuine. And I think that's one of the reasons why everybody loves her so much. But to get into the promo itself, Renee mentions that Willow is not only the new Women's World Champion, but the first ever Women's Triple Crown Champion. Triple Crown Excalibur, not Grand Slam. And Renee asks Willow what that means to her. And as I mentioned, Willow tries to speak, but the crowd won't let her. And then she tells everyone they're far too kind as she is holding back tears. Eventually, Willow is able to say that it's surreal. And this is the thing that people always dream about, but now it's her living her dream. And she says there's been doubters all along as people, look at her and look at a girl like her and don't really get it because she's weird or quirky or smiles, or she even calls herself chubby at one point. But they don't get it. They don't see it. And they didn't think her being champion would ever happen. But this past year, along with making everyone apparently very happy, playing along with the crowd, she became half of the first ever women's tag team champions, and she beat Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. Then she got hurt, which sucked, and it took her to a pretty dark place. But it was her mom that helped pull her out of it. And then the crowd went nuts for her mom. And it was her mom who told her that she could either stay down or she could fight. And so Willow fought to get into the Casino Gauntlet match before fighting a dangerous, toxic champion in Tekla so she could win the title. And then Willow tells everyone that if life has been kicking you around, don't you dare give up. Keep fighting, keep pushing through, because sometimes the comeback is even better than the dream. The proceedings are then interrupted by Mercedes Moné, and she comes out holding a binder and dressed with enough fur to, keep a yak warm during the winter. So Mercedes comes out and says she didn't come out to ruin the celebration. She came out for business, and she demands Willow sign the contract for All In right there. And Willow immediately signs it, and once she finishes, Mercedes kind of shoves the contract into Willow's face. And then Willow gets in Mercedes' face, and they stare each other down. And Renee's like, all right, it's official. Willow versus Mercedes at All In. I'm getting out of here. So Renee bails. And then Willow goes to Mercedes. What's your problem today? Is it that you didn't get all the attention for like 5 minutes? Or did you finally remember that Willow had ended her 500-plus day reign as TBS champion? Or maybe it's because Willow is holding the one championship that Mercedes can't seem to get. Renee responds that the thing she hates most about Willow isn't her stupid smile or the fact that all these people love and adore her. It's the fact that every milestone she has Willow's name written all over it. When Mercedes got hurt and her career stopped over in Japan, all the people celebrated Willow. If I remember correctly, Willow filled in for Mercedes and went on to win that New Japan Strong Women's Championship. When she fought her way back and chose AEW, she had to go through Willow. When she became the greatest TBS champion of all time, it was Willow who took that all away from her. And now Willow is holding the one thing Mercedes says she is destined to hold after having to pick up the pieces after every defining moment that was ended by Willow. So at All In, she's going to end Willow's fairy tale and prove that the only reason people cheered for her is because she stood across from Mercedes Moné. Mercedes wants Willow to admit that she is the reason Willow is such a star, that she made Willow and elevated her and gave her the greatest moments of her entire career. And that is going to happen when she not only takes the title, but that damn smile too. Willow fires back, saying that Mercedes might want to talk about destiny, but she's made history becoming the first women's Triple Crown champion. Mercedes yells back that was at her expense, but that whole conversation is short-lived because Divine Dominion then appear on the apron. And quick side note, on my own volition, I feel like this promo was actually probably going to have a little bit more to it, but because of all the cheering and how long it took Willow to really get started here, I think they kind of just maybe cued Divine Dominion a little early because they were running out of time. Either way, they were there. So Willow's in a 3-on-1 situation. She decks Mercedes and attempts to go after Divine Dominion, but she's quickly overpowered and gets hit with a double choke slam. And then as Mercedes and Divine Dominion pose, the Brawling Birds come out for the save, and they chase Moné and the women's tag champs off. And then, obviously, we end up getting a tag match, trios match even. It was Willow and the Birds versus Moné and Divine Dominion. at Grand Slam Mexico next week. So, all right, you guys had a lot to say about this. All I'm going to say is I love this promo. I thought the back and forth was great. Super hyped for that tag match. And like I talked about earlier, the genuine emotion from Willow with this crowd just absolutely showering her with love was great. And it's something that I absolutely adore. Okay, let me go all the way back up and see if I can find a lot of these Willow comments here. Let's see. JC is saying that crowd hated Mercedes, but she was a pro and got through her promo just fine. Yeah, she did. She was getting shut the fuck up chants, which is a lot for Mercedes. You know, she's usually a little on the fence of whether or not people are booing her or cheering her because people love Mercedes so much, just, you know, out of kayfabe. But damn, yeah, they went after her tonight. I gotta say, yeah, she handled it like a pro. You know, it's saying it was the CEO's moment. Don't know Willow how to ruin it. You're turning into Maria, you know it. Let's see. Yeah, Maria mentioned earlier the women's champion promo fell too long because Willow talks too much. She never shuts up. We actually got a "You Talk Too Much" earlier in the night with the Birds, so look forward to seeing that on Botch Mania. All right, continuing to scroll here. Maria saying this Willow celebration was worse than the Joe Hendry Danhausen segment. Thank God Mercedes interrupted. Harsh words. She's also saying the Mercedes is winning at All In. I got that as a bit of a toss-up. I really do. I know I mentioned I can kind of see Willow retaining, but I can also see Mercedes winning. I really don't know how that was all going to play out before Willow's injury, so it's making it a little harder for me to predict now. You know, I mentioned earlier that he loves the Brawling Birds, but they need to stay out of the CEO's business. They were going after Divine Dominion, and they, you know, I guess they are now the CEO's business, so it's their business. JC is saying the Divine Dominion should hold those tag titles for a long, long time. They are absolutely dominating teams, and they are. And I think they've had a great one with the titles. But much like Ospreay needs to be crowned in England, Hayter and Windsor are being crowned in England. It's the only thing that it not just makes sense. Like, it works perfectly. And then you have Will and the Misses winning titles at Wembley together. I think that kind of just writes itself. Let's see. More stuff that I got to get through because you guys love talking. And I mean that in a nice way possible. All right. Here's some stuff. Not all about the Willow segment here, but the belt is 10 pounds in reference to the national title. I don't know. I would need the Sickos committee to weigh it. Shout out to them. But I probably somewhere around there. James, if you're still in there, could probably mention the old the nickname for the NWA title is like 20 pounds of gold or something like that. So yeah, it's probably close. I'm sure James will give me the right way for the NWA title. Oh, Marie was saying that Persephone reminded her of young Bianca. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from on that too. All right, yeah, I like that. They both of them, and both Maya and Persephone, they are young and they have a lot of talent, and they have pretty good characters considering how young they are, and they're very good at coming across on screen. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from on both of those. Maria, I already mentioned how bad that was in comparison to Danhausen and stuff. Let's see. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen the movie Smile? Will it be in the sequel? Book it. I have not seen the movie Smile. I'm not a big horror movie guy. That is James's department through and through. But they actually did, not to bring up the Mets again, they did have a lot of people doing viral marketing campaigns sitting down at various sporting events doing the Smile in the front row. And I know they had them at Citi Field because me and my friends were watching the game and we're like, what the fuck is that? And then we figured it out and kind of got annoyed by it. But it would be kind of funny if Willow was in it. Let's see, Maria's calling Willow's tears crocodile tears. The smile was fake. Just give her an Oscar. Oh, another award that Mercedes doesn't have? Sure. That's going to start a war. Let's see. JT saying Mercedes should never go to Detroit again with how they treated her. Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't, but you know, her ego would probably want her to go back. Maria again saying, thank God Mercedes interrupted this garbage. I was throwing up like I had the flu until my CEO saved me. JT, Willow wasn't hurt. Mercedes went through the tournament, and Willow won a comedy match to get her title shot. Ouch. Okay, first of all, I love the Casino Gauntlets. I'm surprised. I'm guessing you don't, considering that comment. But I absolutely adore Casino Gauntlets. They're very cool. They're original, and they're really just fast-paced, and I have a lot of fun watching them. This, obviously, it all goes back to Willow, getting hurt, and presumably that was a shoot. I'm still of the mindset, and this is my own theory here, that I got to imagine Willow's injury was it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. And they probably booked it thinking that Willow wasn't going to be back probably until after All In. And that's why they took the title off of her. That's why they had the TBS title tournament. But even if they did, they didn't have the tournament, but they ended up having those qualifying matches to get into the survival of the fittest. I keep on calling it a 6-pack challenge. But, James has mentioned this before, the week after Willow returned. So it's like, what are we doing here in terms of the timeline there? I really do think that they misdiagnosed her in the beginning. She was back quicker, and Tony was like, all right, I want her back in the main, the women's main event for All In, and changed his ideas here. But that's where we're at. That's where I am with that, at least. Fernando's saying he's conflicted about this. He doesn't want Willow to have a short title reign, but I also don't want Mercedes to win the Owen and lose it All In 2 years in a row. It's a tough call, man, and that's why I'm also so conflicted about picking, right? Like, you have everything that Mercedes laid out here in her promo where, Willow has always been like the opposite side to the Mercedes coin. Pretty much every time Mercedes wins something and then goes on to lose it, Willow's the one who's there to end whatever she has going. So her being, once again, the person to prevent Mercedes from winning the Women's World Championship, once again failing to win the Women's World Championship after winning the Owen, it works for the two of them in a way. But again, to your point, do you have that happen to Mercedes 2 years in a row? Do you have Willow have such a short title reign? It's a very, very tough call. I do not envy Tony Khan and the position he kind of put himself in, but you got to kind of trust the man. He usually has a pretty decent plan. See, Maria saying the crowd was incredibly disrespectful to Mercedes. And it was fun. Fernando is saying, don't be afraid of Maria. You think Willow is winning at All In. I really don't. I'm honestly, God, not sure. James corrected me. NWA was 10 pounds of gold. Thank you. So most of those titles are fairly close to 10. I would be surprised the AEW was like 15 to 20. The bigger titles. But I think it's probably more of just an expression, not to get bogged down in the weeds there. James saying Smile 2 exists. It was really good. Okay, Willow can be in Smile 3. Saying don't worry about it. The Detroit crowd when the football season starts. Yeah. Hey, man, I am rocking the Barry Sanders, but yeah, I mean, they tried to fight DK Metcalf last year. So James will not tolerate Willow slander. Though wants me to put him in timeout for trolling. Maria's saying that the injury was at work. She cut the line, as you know it. And JC saying we're getting AEW versus CMLL on August 4th. Is that Grand Slam next week? I don't have a calendar in front of me. Oh, hang on. Now I do. Right there. I think you're right. I think CMLL is doing a show the night before with the AEW guys, and then Dynamite is Wednesday for Grand Slam Mexico. So yeah, that should be also really fucking good. Looking forward to that as well. Every time those two companies link up, man, shit's always great. Speaking of CMLL, our next match was Jon Moxley versus Komander for the AEW Continental Championship. I mentioned this before. This was awesome. I'll just do the end here. After hitting the rope walking spaceman, which is that thing where Komander runs across the ropes and then springboards and does the back body dive. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's called the spaceman. Great name for the new move. Komander then got Moxley back in the ring, and he tried for the rope walk shooting star press, which also had a name, but it was in Spanish, and I didn't hear Excalibur say it clearly. However, Moxley was able to roll out of the way, and Komander got nothing but the canvas. Moxley then hit the rope and hit Komander with a stomp as he was trying to get back up, and then Moxley quickly followed that up with a Death Rider. But instead of pinning Komander, Moxley put him into a sleeper hold, and he forced him to tap out to retain his championship. Look, now that Komander is back here in America, he has been putting on nothing but bangers. He had one last week. He was very good. I think he was in the ladder match on Sunday. And then he's got another good match here tonight. The guy, look, does he end up jobbing most of the time? Yes. But does he get out there, put on a phenomenal performance, and have the crowd super behind him? Also, yes. And when you put him in front of a hot crowd like this Detroit crowd was tonight, whether, no matter how you felt about how they treated Mercedes, this was a hot crowd tonight. They were super into this match, and it made the match that much better because, you had Moxley attempting to ground this guy, and for a while there, he had grounded him, but then Komander finally started to get going. He got hot. The big comeback. We think he has it, and Moxley is just able to outmaneuver him in one position and pick up the win. So good story told, really good match, great high-flying acrobatics from Komander, good counters from Moxley, and Mox once again puts on another great title defense. And that is why I have enjoyed the ever-living hell out of his reign, even if it has gone on for a while. Saying, speaking of someone who's losing too much, yeah, Komander. I mean, look, he did just get back. He'll win. If he has a match next week, he'll win. Whether it's on Tuesday in the CMLL show or Wednesday on Dynamite, if he's on the show, I imagine he would win. He ends up teaming a lot with Mystico and Mascara Dorada. So if he's in that match, they're winning, no doubt. So hopefully he can pick up a dub sometime next week. See, Maria still thinks the crowd was trash. They were loud. You have to admit they were loud and they were into the matches. They might have been disrespectful, but they were loud and they were into the matches. JT saying Komander and AR Fox always put on great matches, but always seem to lose. Yeah, it's a role, unfortunately, that some people need to fill. And Fox, I mean, this respect, he's a vet. He's been around for a while. And, he's been very kind about helping younger guys get over. And sometimes, he does take a lot of losses. But he also ends up getting a lot of dubs as well over down on, I don't want to say down, but over in Ring of Honor. So if you want to see him win, check him out there. I think he has the television title, if I'm not mistaken. Maria with a hypothetical here. Should Collision just go to Thursday for good? I don't think so. First of all, you have the conflict with TNA. And while I think Collision would routinely trounce TNA, all due respect, James, in the ratings, I don't know how much, if you want to pull your audience away and kind of split it, even the slightest bit of numbers. So I can see why that would be a thing. A. B. I don't know if the network would want it. This is something probably, I don't know what's going on Saturday night on TNT that they had to move the show. I could pull up the TV guide, but it would take a while. But Collision has the flexibility, especially usually because they tape it after Dynamite, that they can move it. But I do think that Turner likes it on, 8 o'clock Saturday. It's a hard slot to fill, and it's a hard slot to get viewership. And at minimum, you're going to get just the diehards watching AEW no matter what, the true sickos. So you can always, bank on them watching. And it gives you, a few 100,000 people watching the show, according to the ratings. Even though, when it goes against college football, I don't think they're not going to change it. Usually, Turner has college football now. They have football on TNT, so you can, you have your college football game, and then that runs into Collision because they don't have night games. It's usually just Fox and ESPN. So you can have that. And then the other reason I don't think they moved to Thursdays permanently is Tony Khan doggedly refuses to go against the NFL, both because A, it's a losing battle, and B, he's part owner of a team, or his dad owns a team and he works for one. So, with the Thursday night games, I don't think they would go to Thursday permanently just because he doesn't want that to happen. But James does have a good point. If they did move to Thursdays, TNA would die. All right, and then if it's saying like mentioning Monday or Friday, I don't think AEW doesn't want to go against WWE. Same reason, you're splitting your audience. And yeah, you could have a Monday Night War again or a Friday Night War, but Tony's not trying to do that. He knows he doesn't have the audience WWE does, or at least, we think. We don't know what happens on Mondays with the Netflix ratings. I've heard people posit that Dynamite might be outrating Raw. We just don't know because Netflix refuses to put out the data in terms of viewership. But either way, Tony just doesn't want to go up against them. And that's a smart move. Be your own thing, be your own brand. Trying to go up against, Monday Night Raw almost killed TNA. So it's just a dumb move. And as usual, I miss it's sarcasm. But Maria's right. TNA is a cockroach. It never dies. All right, just a few more things here, I think, on the show. After the match, we had Bang Bang Gang interview. I kind of referenced this earlier with the Death Riders, but this set up that match. And we had Mick Foley backstage interviewing them, which, again, he's good at, but I think he'd be much better in the sit-down interview format. That being said, he's there with them, and he asked them how they're doing following their loss to the Dogs on Sunday in that double chain match. And Ace Austin says that normally they'd love banging around with Mick backstage, but they've got some serious problems. And Colton lets us know that they've been screwed by the Dogs and the Death Riders. Juice is still hurting from the chain match, and Jay got so banged up that he's not even there tonight because of that. And then Juice calls out the Dogs and the Death Riders, telling them that they can pick any combination of those two teams, and if they have the testicular fortitude, they can meet on Collision. They won't be hard to find. Austin Gunn then tries to hit if you ain't down with that. They got 2 words for you, and Foley slips in a bang bang, and Austin's like, look, any other night, that's cool, but not tonight, because those 2 words have to be guns up. All right. One last thing here to cover, but first we'll these comments Bischoff agreed with, it. JC saying Mick was trying to be funny, but they were serious. Yeah, and it made for kind of a funny dichotomy but I really liked it too, because the Bang Bang Gang, is usually joking around. They're usually funny, especially Juice. Jay's usually pretty serious, but Juice is always like this unhinged lunatic, and he's funny, and the Guns are funny. But considering the L they took, considering this serious feud with the Dogs and the Death Riders, I like the fact that they were being serious and juxtaposing them against Mick, who was trying to be funny. I think worked out very well. I should probably have left that banner up. Okay, let's see. Maria asking, how do you think they should use Mick Foley more wisely? Look, I think he does pretty well with these backstage interviews, but this goes back to what I mentioned before. I really think he's great in the sit-down interview format, like we had with Cope and Cage and the Bucks earlier. I think if he's in that role, I think he does a very good job. Renee also did a very good job, but I think they could use him with that a little bit more and continue to use him backstage. And honestly, I would love to see him just get into some shenanigans every once in a while. I'm shocked we haven't gotten him with the Conglomeration. I know we got him with Willow, but getting him with the entire Conglomeration would be so much fun. So they've used him well so far. I know he's probably not going to be there every week, unless he wants to be traveling. If so, good for him. But I would like to see them utilize him in that sit down interview format, along with the stuff he's already doing. JT is saying that he hopes Jay White isn't hurt because they didn't mention his return. I don't think he's hurt. I think they would have brought that up full time. Like they would have been like, and now Jay's hurt again. They've just been saying they're just writing him off kayfabe wise. He's probably doing something else. Don't be shocked if he even turns up tomorrow. Tomorrow. Maria once again repeating that she thinks Jay is turning on the Bang Bang Gang. I at the moment don't see why. He just got back. They just reunited. And I don't know. I just don't see it. And it's hard for one dude to turn on a whole group, unless you bring in a whole other group. So, a la MJF. All right, final match here of the evening. So the Conglomeration, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly face off against the Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Kaun, and Total Liona for the AEW World Trios Championships. So this was kind of made, I believe, on Sunday. We had the Conglomeration defend their titles against Lethal Twist, and then they won. And then the Demand later in the pay-per-view called out the Conglomeration to defend their titles tonight, and that match was made. And as the Demand were making their entrance, Bishop Kaun decided to just run into the ring and try to catch the Conglomeration napping, much to the surprise of Ricochet and Liona. We're just like, wait, what did he do? So they ran down there, and after some Orange Cassidy shenanigans with jumping off, the ropes to the outside, it actually kind of ended up working out for the Demand for a bit, because they were able to take out Roddy and O'Reilly, and that just left Orange in a 3-on-1 situation as the bell rang. And that also left Orange in a 1-on-1 with Total Liona. And he was doing his shenanigans, and he put his hands in his pockets. And I'm not entirely sure how this is physically possible, but while Orange's hands were still in his pockets, Liona took Orange by like the wrists and the forearms and lifted him into the air. Now, we've seen Liona do some crazy ass shit when it comes to his strength. The physics on this one are just mind-boggling. Wow. The dude is strong as hell. And to make things even crazier with his interactions with Orange, he later blocked an Orange punch with his forehead. Because, Samoans have hard heads. Yeah, he had a crazy match, Liona, man. He's good. All right, so after blocking that, Orange was able to catch him with a Stun Dog Millionaire, and then Roddy hit pretty much like an angle slam, and Kyle kicked the shit out of him. And that led to a pinfall attempt, but he kicked out. And then Lethal Twist came down and began to distract the Conglomeration. So you had Lethal and I want to say, no, is it Lee Moriarty? I always get him and Lee Johnson. No, it's Lee Johnson. Sorry. So him and Johnson came down the ramp to the ring, and they distracted Roddy and O'Reilly, and that allowed Blake Christian to come in from behind and kind of a la Kevin Knight last week, dive into the ring holding one of the trios titles and whack an Orange upside in the head with it. That allowed Ricochet to come in, and he hit a spirit gun onto Cassidy and pinned him as the Demand became the new trios champions. After the match, the Demand and the Lethal Twist began to beat down the Conglomeration in just a 6-on-3 assault, Brody King came down in an attempt to even out the numbers, but obviously it was still 6-on-4, so he kind of got the shit kicked out of him a little bit as well. But the tide did eventually turn when Hangman Adam Page came out with a barbed wire steel chair. Pretty much everybody decided that this was the time to retreat, which is usually a good idea when somebody has a barbed wire wrapped steel chair. Except for Jay Lethal, who decided it'd be a good idea to try to sneakily take the chair away from Hangman, which didn't work out too well because he just got a handful of barbed wire. Hangman then noticed what he was doing, absolutely rocked Lethal's shit, and then went out to the apron and hit him with a buckshot lariat. And that sent Lethal just rolling out of the ring, and he got picked up by the Lethal Twist, and them and the new trios champs, retreated up the ramp. So I really enjoyed this match. You had the comedy stylings of the Conglomeration and Orange. You had Liona just being an absolute boss throughout the entire match. I am actually utterly shocked the Conglomeration lost tonight. But, I get it, I think. The Conglomeration, they had some great defenses. They were always involved in stuff. I love them having the titles. Them winning it was such a huge deal, such a fun deal. I think James is saying long overdue in terms of them losing. I would love a further explanation from you on that, James. But it was shocking. But I guess considering the number of title matches tonight, somebody was going to lose at some point, and most of these people were either just won the title or were Jon Moxley. So it kind of made sense that these were the guys to do it. I thought they did a great job protecting the the conglomeration with the lethal twist coming in to interfere. You can continue feuds there. You can probably have a rematch for the trios titles if you want. You also probably have lethal twist against the conglomeration against. The conglomeration can get a little more revenge. It depends what you want to do, what Tony wants to do. But, it's cool. I think it's kind of cool that we have trios titles on the demand again. And, yeah, okay, thank you, James. It's explaining what he meant. Long overdue for the demand to finally have these belts. They should have won it a while ago. Sad for the conglomeration, but happy for the demand. And I think that's a good point. The demand was basically created to get the trios titles, and then they got a little sidetracked with a couple other things. First, the Hurt Syndicate, and then Ricochet won the national title, and you basically just had Liona and Kaun backing him up. This now feels like they are a true trio, and I know Ricochet is the quote unquote leader, but Liona and Kaun are not only great characters, they cut good promos, and they've really found their groove, the three of them together. So I think James has a good point here. I think it's probably pretty long overdue that the demand be the trios champs. They should probably have a good, healthy run with them. At minimum, they'll have them up until All In, and then we'll see what happens there. But you never know with All In. But I think as much as I agree that I am disappointed that the conglomeration no longer have the titles, especially when Willow just got one and they all had their backpacks together and everything. It kind of sucks that they lost, but the demand having the titles is a good thing for them, and I think for the division. Let's see, we get some other stuff. Foley working as Britt Baker's manager so he can get some free dental. Let's go, yo. Let's see. JT saying Brody needs a title, so this is how he will get one. If you think maybe going for the trios, I guess would be him, Bandito, and then we need another partner. Maybe Speedball. I know they had that match tonight, but we'll see what happens. I think, like I said, I think the demand will probably hang on to the trios for a little bit. Fernando called this an excellent main event. I would concur. JT also thinks that Orange should go back on a singles run. Maybe. Yeah, I know. They're having a lot of fun. It would be nice to see Orange get some singles action again, try for a title somewhere. I'm trying to think of heel mid-card holders at the moment. Him versus Fletcher. I don't know if he's fought Fletcher for the International or when he had the TNT, but both of those would be fun. And him versus Knight, I think, would be a good matchup as well for the TNT. So, yeah, I would love to see him get some of those title shots in those instances. Fernando saying he knew the demand were always going to win the trios titles eventually. 100%, as James mentioned, they were made for these titles. So perfect that they have them. Great for the division. JT saying, forgot about the Hurt Syndicate. They will probably return. They did that one thing, or the two things with Chris Jericho leading up to Double or Nothing. We haven't seen them since. Unless they've just been Collision Cowboys and I haven't heard, which would be weird. Yeah, I feel like they've been completely MIA. Fernando, completely off topic here. Didn't get to see you since the decision part 4. Or are you worried about your Knicks next year with the Sixers? I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. Philly is a weird team. Obviously, Embiid is a very crucial part of that team, but he's hurt all the time. So it's hard to tell whether or not you can rely on him. LeBron, he's later in his career, and granted, he doesn't have to have as much of the burden on him with guys like Maxey and Brown and Edgecombe around him, and Embiid if he's healthy. But, he hasn't had a real full season the last 2 years either. He's breaking down. The man's 41. It's going to happen. Guy had sciatica to start the season. Like, he's getting old. So we'll see if he stays healthy. And then we'll see how, him and Brown integrate into the team. It's going to be very interesting to watch, to say the least. As I was a little surprised he went there, but it is what it is. Maria, getting back on wrestling here. Orange Cassidy has one of the most impressive title reigns in AEW. Yeah, that I don't remember if it was the All Atlantic or the International at the time, but yeah, that title run that he had was great. The whole feud with Moxley, I absolutely loved all of that. It was awesome. JT, Philly should trade Embiid to Detroit for Duran. Sixers team can't run with Embiid on the court. Very interesting. Wow, I hadn't heard that. It's an interesting mind experiment there, thought experiment. I will say this. It took him a little while, but Shaq did eventually figure it out with the 13 seconds or less, or 7 seconds or less Suns. They did kind of become the 13 seconds or less Suns with Shaq. I always say if you're going to run, you do need somebody to rebound. And Embiid can rebound and outlet, and they can go, and then he'll eventually get up there. So, you know what? Was that the backpack title run? Yes. Yes, that was such a good title run, man. And that's obviously what led to the Conglomeration getting all the backpacks. So that's why I was a little disappointed they lost tonight. I would have loved to, the whole backpack crew with the Conglomeration, Willow having her new, tie-dye JanSport and the rest of them all together. And now just Willow has the title. So unless Big Tama got the never open weight one again, because he wins that all the time. So I'm sure he'd be having a backpack too next time he comes through. All right, kids. That was Dynamite. I love this show. This was damn near perfect top to bottom, even though Mike Boys and Conglomeration lost. Every promo I thought was great tonight. I thought every match was great tonight. I thought the crowd seriously helped make this show that much better, giving all of their energy and enthusiasm and everything. I will repeat it again. Give Detroit a pay-per-view. They absolutely deserved it. They were just on fire tonight, as was the show. There was not a dull moment in this show. If you want to say the slowest thing that happened was the sit-down interview, fine. But it was still damn good. So just top to bottom, beautiful show tonight. Pulling an Andrew Luck there. Beautiful show tonight, coming out of Redemption, which I think surprised a lot of people with how good it was. So thrilled with everything that happened tonight. I can't even pick the best match. I guess the triple threat match that started the show. I love Moxley and Komander. The main event was great. Just everything was so damn good. Brodito and Speedball against the Don Callis, just up and down, 100% a great show. I guess the only thing I can say that I'm disappointed in, and this is something I meant to mention with the main event, as the beatdown was happening, I think a lot of us were expecting the Motor City Machine Guns tonight. With them being in Detroit, that contract finally coming up, allegedly, that 90 days allegedly coming up. Really, people were really really thinking that, MCMG were coming out tonight. Unfortunately, they didn't. It is what it is. Hopefully, we do get to see them in AEW at some point, but wasn't meant to be tonight. Let's see. JT asking, did Moxley start the backpack thing? No, so it was Orange started the backpack thing. He would carry around the AEW. I guess it was the International at the time. The All-Atlantic title became the International title. And Orange had it, and he would keep it in the backpack. It just, at the time, he was having this huge feud with Jon Moxley over that. It kind of was on and off the feud with the title, but Orange bled a lot in those matches. I highly recommend going up and going back and looking those up. The whole run was great, but his feud and his matches with Mox were just something else. JT agreeing with me that it was a really good episode tonight. Thank you. And Maria saying Komander is growing on her, and that's great. I love to hear it. I think Komander is a very underutilized talent. I know a few of the other commenters. I think was leading the charge in there, and maybe Fernando as well. And JT, whoever it was, saying Komander needs more wins. I concur. I would love to see him get some sort of belt in AEW or hell, even Ring of Honor. Just the guy deserves it somewhere. So we'll see what ends up happening there. Maria asking, do you think Sammy Guevara is following his wife out the door? I know James addressed this a little bit on Sunday in terms of Ty seemingly retiring, at least for now, taking a step away from the ring. So it doesn't look like she's going back to WWE. Not that she had a great time there in the first place, at least for what I can tell. I don't know what Sammy's going to do. Honestly, I haven't followed the vlog as much as I used to. I'm still subscribed to Charles Vlog Crew. So I don't know where Sammy's head's at the moment. I also don't know his contract situation. I just feel like I haven't heard a lot of news about him. It's just been mostly rumblings and whisperings on the internet. It's possible. I mean, he just turned 33. I mean, guy's my age. Geez. But So I don't know what he wants to do. Maybe he likes what he's been doing in AEW / Ring of Honor, and he stays. Maybe he wants to go try something else, and maybe go try his hand in WWE. So I wish I knew more. I wish I had a better answer for you, Maria. I haven't gotten enough information to make an informed opinion. What's saying? Orange had the backpack, Darby had the skateboard. I guess because I'm so old, I would have the pogo stick. Yeah, man. I'm trying to think. I used to have this thing. It was like a skip it. I think it was called. It was like a ring that you put around your ankle, and then you had to like jump over it. Yeah, maybe I have one of those. JT is pointing out AEW is doing great. They don't have Tony Storm or MJF at the current time. Shows how deep the roster is. 100%. And we've talked about this, throughout kind of the history of this show here at the Market Down Podcast, where when AEW has had guys go down, they lost Kenny for a very long time. MJF taking his leave after his first title run when he was gone for a long ass time. Hangman, just took a big hiatus after he lost that Texas Death Match to MJF. Guys and girls are able to take off, and AEW either already has somebody ready to fill that slot. Like, look at Swerve. That's how he was able to rise up through the card. You either have that, or you have somebody like Swerve, actually, who's able to, be lifted up and fill that gap. I Will kind of even pointed it out himself tonight. He was like, I was the one who had to step up while Kenny was gone all those times. So it's amazing how deep the roster is. It's amazing how when somebody does go out, they're either able to slide somebody right in there who's basically already on that level, or if Tony is high on somebody, he gives them the opportunity to, move up the card and take that slot. And a lot of times, Swerve being the biggest example, those people fucking deliver. And it's awesome. I mean, heck, you can even look at Willow. That's kind of what happened with Willow. People got hurt. She started moving up. And people fell in love with her. And now she's the AEW Women's Champion. So, it's awesome. Yeah, MJF also went for the plugs, and he was out for a while, too. But there was a lot. MJF was out because he had his injuries. He was super hurt at the end of that first world title run. So, you had that. And then, obviously, he had the plugs. He was gone for a little while. And now he's hurt again. So he's been out for a multitude of reasons. He goes to film. So the guy does miss his time, but it also, I think, kind of works for him because it makes him such an attraction. JT also saying that's why Knight facing Omega was great. I agree. That was something they had to call on the fly because MJF needed more time off, and they moved the title match up to Beach Break. And it's like, okay, who do we slot in? Well, we have this guy who's been demanding the title shot, the young hot shot. Let him get the experience, as you say, JT. And as we talked about, I think last week, it's a sink or swim moment for Knight. If he proves he can hang in the main event with one of the best to ever do it, and I'm not even just talking about like kayfabe, but like just in terms of like, is the crowd into this match? Is he wrestling at that level? If he's able to do so, then we know we got something in this kid, and he has a very bright future. If he looked bad, if the match didn't go great, then maybe you don't cut your losses, but he's not quite ready and either needs some more seasoning, or he's just a guy that you're not going to put as much time into. And Kevin absolutely, he absolutely brought it. He absolutely lived up to his potential, and Tony definitely sees a bright future in the kid. And we've talked about it. Future world champion. And yeah, now he has this presence about him. You could say, like, I main evented a pay-per-view against Kenny Omega. I was able to hang with him. I didn't get the dub yet, but I was 26 years old and got pretty fucking close. It's a big deal, and it's how you make future stars. So it was a great pivot by Tony and a great showing from Kevin. And I didn't, since I wasn't here Sunday, those are my thoughts on the main event there. All right, but that's all for me. So I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. I say us because James is in the comments. So we'd appreciate it if you like to subscribe. If you like the video, let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing here on the show. And we can keep doing it. If you got any more thoughts or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. once the show gets posted or whatever, like the proper comment section, we do read them. So if you guys have any thoughts or suggestions on way to improve the show or things you'd like to see, let us know, and we'll do what we can. And if you subscribe, continue to get all the great stuff here on the channel. James will presumably be back tomorrow night for the Gym Pack Zone. For those of you who watch TNA, there's also Collision tomorrow too. So I don't know if he's gonna pull a Kevin Harlan and call both games, but he at least be doing the Gym Pack Zone. So be sure to check that out. I know SummerSlam's coming up. We will do our best to cover both of those nights. We'll see, and bring you guys that type of stuff. Matt, who was on earlier, and I'd like to thank Matt. I almost forgot he was on with me. He does a great job covering WWE here on the channel when big stuff happens. So be sure to subscribe for that. And, of course, we'll be back here next Wednesday for Grand Slam Mexico. Not even Dynamite, Grand Slam Mexico. Very, very excited for that. Speaking of Matt, if you want to follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Blue Sky, or Twitter. Check out those links in the description below here on YouTube. If you're watching us over on Facebook or somewhere else, and you want to check us out in some other places, Twitter is at marketdown_pod. Instagram is at marketdownpod. YouTube.com/@marketdownpod or /marketdown3665. Marketdownpod.bsky.social over on Blue Sky if you want to shop it up with me, or just search Marketdown Podcast on your social media platforms, and we should be there. If not, let us know, and we'll make an account, and we can hang out over there. All right, let's see. Last comments here before we go. Let's see. I was saying I try not to use the it factor thing. Yeah, I agree. But, like, some dudes have it, and you can just tell. Some dudes grow into it. And some people just, they never really get there. But I understand what you're saying. JT, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. You know it. Yes, James should be on tomorrow night for the Gym Pack Zone. But yeah, so thank you everybody again. Not just JT, but Maria, Fernando, James popping in as well. Derek earlier. We as James always says, we love having you guys here. I do too, no, not just James. And especially when we're riding solo here tonight, you guys make the show a lot easier to do because then you're not just talking to a screen by yourself for 2 hours. So thank you guys so much for joining us here tonight. My name is Nick Cummings. Thank you again, and have a good one, everyone. We'll see you guys next week. Or we'll probably see James tomorrow on the Gym Pack Zone.